How's it going, everyone? It's that Blue Abarth here, and welcome back to the channel and another video. You join me on a very cold Tuesday. I mean, guys, it was snowing last night, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I haven't seen snow in ages, but the cars looked awesome, that's for sure. So winter is definitely kicking in now, guys, that is for certain. But today's video, I sort of wanted to make this in order to help you guys, help you on something that everybody does to their car, and that's modifying it. Because modifications are awesome. They can bring some great things to the table, such as style, performance, sound, induction, but sometimes they may bring more bad than good. And so what I'm going to do is go through different sections of the car, talk about things that you can do to it, and give you some alternatives as well, because, well, like I said, some modifications can actually bring some negatives instead of positives. So we're going to start with the most popular area to change and modify, and that's the engine bay. So when you pop the bonnet and open it up, you're greeted to a large array of items, and because there's so much in here, it means there's a lot to modify and change. And I would go over everything, but then that would mean we'd be here for quite a long time. I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind a long video, but what I'm going to do instead is just go over the most popular and common things that people change on Abarths, that being induction, bits in the engine, and turbos too. So let's get started with induction. Now, there are two main things that you can do to improve and increase airflow and increase the amount of cold air going into the engine. Because cold air, yeah. Hot air, boo. We don't want any of that. That's not good for performance. Now, the two main things are, one, an induction kit, and the other I'll talk about in a little bit. Starting off with induction kits, they're meant to be the best and main way to get those two benefits. Though, I have heard quite a lot of things about induction kits, not very good things either. Now, when I talk about these induction kits, I'm not slandering or putting any shade against the companies who make them. Forge Motorsport, Ram Air, and all those other companies make fantastic quality products, and they're definitely worth it. Though, from what I've heard so far about the Forge and Ram Air induction kits for Abarths, well, they don't seem to be very good. Now, these induction kits are, well, they're a bit 50-50. Depending on who you ask and who you talk to, they'll either say, yeah, they're great, or they're kind of pointless. Now, the bad things I've heard about them is this. One, because of the position and layout of it, it means that it depends on the scuttle panel for air. Because if you didn't know, the Forge kit sits at this turbo elbow here and positions to the scuttle. You do have to cut a hole in it as well in order for air to feed into the filter. Now, because it's sat up here, it means the air has to travel back here into the scuttle panel for it to do its job. With the standard layout, it's directly at the front. It's going in here into the air box instead of it having to travel to the back. So it's a more direct airflow, which is a lot better because instead of waiting for the air, it's right there. And that's one of the main reasons people don't really seem to purchase Forge kits for their Abarth, because it seems to make them sort of, well, unusable up until 2,500 RPM, and people have even commented that it takes longer. So you don't want that, especially with a small turbocharged car. You want the power to be there instantly as soon as you put your foot down. I mean, this kicks in really early, like I'd say 1,800 RPM, which is very quick. And one other factor that helps as well is torque, and I will talk about that later on in the video. But coming back to the induction, you don't want to wait ages for the boost to kick in, which is why people don't really seem to go for the induction kits. A better alternative would be panel filters. Now, the reason panel filters are better than induction kits is, one, they're easier to install, two, they're a lot cheaper, and three, they actually do give you benefits. Now all you have to do is literally just take off this lovely panel right here, or airbox, and then take out your original filter, chuck it away, and then install your brand new one, which is all you've got to do. That's literally it, guys, and there you go. You have benefits already to your induction because you've got better airflow, cleaner filter means cleaner air, and overall it's just a lot better. You'll be a lot happier and your wallet will too, believe me on that one, because induction kits can go for around £200 to £300, which is a lot of money considering that, well, like others have said online, they're kind of pointless. So instead of spending all that money, you can spend £40 instead to buy a performance filter. I mean, that's what Abarth do. They install performance filters from BMC into their very special models like the 695 Imposto, some other special 695s, and I believe even the 595s receive them too, like the I'm just trying to think of the name here, guys. Oh, give me a second.
Bruh.
F595, that's the one I was thinking of. Oh, it took me ages to think of it then. But there you go. Abarth used them, so you might as well use one as well. Now, BMC and KNN are probably the best ones you can purchase, in my opinion, because they just work and they're definitely supposed to be for performance cars. So that is definitely the alternative that I would recommend to you guys, because induction kits are fantastic, don't get me wrong. On different cars, they can really give you some great increased airflow and better cold air, stuff like that. Though on a small car like this, everything counts. You will feel any difference that you make, and I'll be saying that a few times throughout this video. Anything you change or modify in this car, you will feel when you drive it. One other thing as well is that with an induction kit, you use this lovely airbox, and I think it looks fantastic. I personally really love this airbox. It's such a nice little feature to have in this engine bay, and losing that would be a bit of a shame, because then it sort of makes it a little bit messy. That's what others have reported anyway, that it just looks a bit cluttered and, you know, not very tidy. So having this here, not only is it OEM, it looks great too. So moving on to the turbo, which is definitely a more drastic change and a much bigger modification compared to a panel filter and an induction kit, because there's a lot more that you need to do in order for it to work and be compatible with the engine. Now, the turbos that you can get from factory are the IHI, which comes in the 145 models, and the Garrett, which comes in the Turismo, Competizione, and all the other 595 and 695 models. They're both fantastic turbos, and each of them have their own benefits. The IHI is a little bit of a smaller turbo, but it kicks in much earlier, and the amount of boost that it delivers is actually quite shocking. Very surprising too. I mean, I've had this turbo for around 2 to 3 years now. It's been a long time anyway, and I've had no complaints with it. It's great, it kicks in, and when it does, it is superb, honestly. The boost is just crazy. I mean, this kicks in, like I said, at around 18 to 2000, which is just mental, and when it comes on song, whew, it goes. Now, the Garrett turbo is a bigger turbo that you can get with the 180 engines, and they too are amazing. I've experienced a few Competiziones, driven a few, and when the boost does kick in, wow, it's gone. Honestly, this car just shifts. So the Garrett turbo is definitely great, though it does kick in a little bit later. I'd say about 2,500 RPM. I might be wrong on that, but it's definitely later than the IHI turbo. And if you pair it with a good bit of induction, like a panel filter, then it's going to be great. You could do the same thing with the Garrett, and it should kick in a little bit earlier, a lot smoother, and the boost should be way better too. But that's honestly dependent on what you guys do to your Abarth. If you have the Garrett turbo though, and you do modify the rest of the engine, then you will definitely receive a significant amount of boost, because wow, I'll tell you what, when I was driving a stock Competizione, I was stunned how fast it was when it kicked in. But like I say, it is a little bit later when it does happen, the boost that is. But apart from that, if you want to do an aftermarket turbo swap, then like I said at the beginning of this segment, just make sure you read everything online before doing so, because it's a much bigger thing to do, and things can go wrong if it's not done properly. Other things you can do as well, such as replacing this turbo elbow right here. It is a bit ribbed and slightly tight on the inside, so the airflow is going to be restricted a tiny bit, but I don't have any complaints with it really, to be honest. I'd say it's nitpicking really, but if you do want to buy a bigger one, then you can do so, because then it's improved airflow for your turbo, and it'll go into the airbox. Everything will be a lot smoother and a bit better, though I can't really guarantee that there'll be a massive difference, but there might be a little bit, who knows. But you can buy forged ones and stuff like that. You just got to take it out, unclip the hoses and all that, and it's a pretty simple job. It's a little bit tight in there, but it's not too bad. Apart from that though, that's sort of everything in here for now. Let's move on to another important component of the car, and that is wheels, suspension and brakes. So moving on to the wheel assembly here, and there's a lot of components that help drive and stop the car. So you want to make sure that everything is all good if you do decide to modify it. Was that a horn? What was that? So, funky musical horns aside, let's get back onto the wheels. Now, if you do want to change your wheels, that's perfectly fine. If you want a new style, or if you want lighter wheels, then that's great. Lighter the better, in my opinion. Though, one thing you want to make sure of if you are getting new wheels are these right here, the tyres. You want to make sure that this combination right here is perfect, because a good tyre can make or break the handling. Now, I'm currently running Falcons, and they're absolutely superb, no complaints with them at all. But the ones you get from the factory are definitely worth keeping on your car, because you can either get Pirellis or Michelins. The Michelins being Pilot Sports, and the Pirellis being P0s. I did have a set of Pirelli P0s on my original wheels, though, like I said, I can't complain with these Falcons. They are fantastic. But if you are running Pirellis or Michelins, I tried to combine the two there, I don't know what I was doing, but if you do have either of those on your Abarth, I would recommend keeping them or purchasing a set for your new wheels, because they are absolutely amazing tyres and brands. You can see why Porsches, supercars and other performance cars run them, so they are great. One thing to talk about as well, very quickly, are spacers. Not only will they make your fitment look 10 out of 10, but they can also increase the turning for your car, meaning it will handle better through corners and you have to put less input in. I've experienced spacers for quite a while now, and honestly, they are amazing. I have felt that difference when going through corners, and overall, I definitely recommend getting some. Now, some wheels do require spacers in order for them to go on the car, but if you do want to run spacers anyway, it's not a bad thing to do, because like I said, your fitment is a lot better, but cornering is so much better as well. Superb, top notch even. But that's just one thing I wanted to quickly include as well. Let's move on to the next segment. In terms of the rest of the setup here though, like brakes and suspension, you also want to make sure they're great too, because all of this works together. Like I said, it runs the car, drives the car and stops the car. In terms of suspension, I personally wouldn't change it, because they are quite hard from the factory and they do run Koni shocks, which are an absolutely amazing thing to have. They make the car handle beautifully, though it can be a bit of a rough ride at times. You just kind of got to get used to it. I've had this car for ages now, and I've sort of just, I've just got used to it. It's not too bad. I mean, it doesn't help that, UK roads are kind of atrocious, but if you live in like France or anything like that, then they're not going to be a problem at all. So you get the benefit of handling, and, well, if you are in a nice place with really nice roads, you get a smooth ride too. Best of both. Win-win situation. If you do want to change it though, then I guess coilovers are the way to go, because you can adjust them and stuff like that. I wouldn't really recommend getting rock hard suspension, because it just wouldn't be any fun. It's like lowering it too. If I lowered this car, it would be a nightmare to drive. It would be so hard, uncomfortable, and I just wouldn't be able to use it. Last thing to talk about is the brakes. Now, you'll be very surprised to know that these ones right here are top notch. I really don't have anything bad to say about them. I mean, these are sort of performance brakes at the end of the day, and if they're on an Abarth, they're on there for a reason. Now, the higher up models like the Competizione do receive Brembos and drilled discs. This one just has standard stuff, but honestly, I sort of think they're similar in performance, because I've driven a few Competiziones, like I said earlier, and there's not that much difference between the Brembos and these. I mean, the Brembos were a little bit better, I guess, but not that much better, because these are just as good, I think. So there you go, folks. You might not have to change your brakes, because these ones, they're quality stuff, that's for sure. I mean, Brembos are like £400 or £500, aren't they? That's a lot of money. So your wallet's going to be happy, that's for sure. But now let's move on to another area of the car that sounds awesome and also can change quite a bit if you do decide to modify it. And here we are at the rear of the car, because we're going to talk about the exhaust system. Now, it's definitely one of the best features of an Abarth, because they just sound so unique. I mean, every Abarth has such an awesome exhaust system on it, whether it be the normal standard black box on the 145 or the Record Monza on the Competizione. They all sound fan-dabby-doozy. Now, what changes if you do decide to modify the exhaust system? Well, quite a bit. It depends though on what you purchase. You can either get a performance backbox system, straight pipes, and then there's all the other bits you can do as well on top of that, like centre pipes, sports cats, decat, which is a little bit too much in my opinion. But I personally think at the end of the day, a good performance backbox system is all you need. It kind of ties into the torque section that I'm going to be getting onto in a little bit. But I would definitely recommend either keeping your original stock exhaust or going for a performance backbox, because backboxes they do a little bit more than just filtering out pollution through the system. They actually can help with your performance. Now, I will put an explanation on screen as to why that is the case, but in terms of sound, depending on what you purchase as well, can change the tone, the amount of noise it creates, and it can also decide whether you have pops and bangs and all that other stuff as well. Now, this one right here is the standard OEM 145 backbox system, and this was recently equipped. And I've got to say a massive shout out to National Tyres. They are a top-notch place, and I mean, look at the job they did. It was absolutely on point, 10 out of 10, and I should definitely be going there in future for anything else that needs doing. And if you guys also need anything doing, exhausts, tyres, any work at all, definitely head down to them because they are great. The lads down there are fantastic, and tell them that Blue Abarth sent you, because I definitely recommend them, that's for sure. And so this system right here is phenomenal, and I did actually make a video going over this exhaust system very recently. If you'd like to see that, the thumbnail should be up in the top corner so you can find it in the list of videos. But I go through it in detail, give you a few cheeky sound clips as well. It does sound absolutely amazing. That is for sure. But you can also get the Record Monster system, which is Abarth's pretty much top of the scale exhaust for the standard cars. You can also get an Akrapovic, or Akrapovic, however you say it. There's probably a correct way to say it, I probably got it wrong, I do apologise. But the Akrapovic comes on some of these special 695s, like the 695 XSR Yamaha, the Rivale, and a few others as well. The Posto too, can't forget that out, that's the most iconic one. But all of them do have back boxes, and they have them for a reason. And well, Abarth's whole history, the entire reason they're around was because they made performance exhausts. So a quick tip for you here, guys. I think at the end of the day, if you do have an OEM system on your Abarth, I personally would keep it on, because they are just fantastic. I mean, Abarth put millions into R&D for these cars, and a lot of that went into the exhaust system to make sure it performed well, sounded great, and lots of other things as well. So it's on there for a reason. But if you do want to change it for anything else, a performance back box is what I would recommend. That's definitely the best alternative. So with all that being said and done, let's get inside the car to A, warm up a bit because it's quite chilly out here, and B, chat about torque. Oh, that's a bit better, guys. It's quite chilly out there. Oh, man, can't wait to get home and warm up a little bit. And I do apologise if the camera looks a little bit weird. It is because it's getting dark. And what time is it actually? I don't even think it's 4 o'clock. 10 to 4, and it's already going dark. Oh, man. Winter is here, folks. But hey-ho, let's move on to the next segment, which is torque. Torque is a very important power figure, and it's crucial to have in a car, because not only does it allow you to drive around town much easier, but it also helps you in very fast-paced situations, whether that be junctions, dual carriageways, motorways. It allows your car to get up to speeds smoothly and a lot quicker. Now, if you have a lot of torque in a car, you'll definitely feel it, because when accelerating, you'll get that little bit of boost or a lot of boost, and then the turbo will kick in as well. So it's like a mini turbo in a way. Maybe that's not the way to put it, but basically it's a very nice bit of boost to get you up to speed. And if you take that away from a car, you'll definitely feel it. You'll have a sluggish effect be put onto your acceleration, and it just won't feel very good, because then you're trying to get up to speed, accelerating, oh, and then the boost kicks in. And if you're needing to escape a very fast-paced situation, like I mentioned, then you might find it a bit tricky, because then you take longer to get up to that desired speed. So modifying and changing those specific parts, also like I mentioned at the beginning, can bring you more bad than good, which is why keeping your car OEM is, well, quite important, because it's all been put together into one awesome package, and if you take something away from it, then it might not work as good as it used to. So all of these performance cars have been made to a specific degree to be better, faster, more stylish. Modifying it might not actually bring the result you were hoping for. So just keep that in mind, folks, because you can modify your car at the end of the day. If that's what you want to do, then go do it. But I just wanted to help you guys out, just to make sure that you don't lose anything from your car and either gain something or just not have to deal with any problems. Because at the end of the day, though, a nice clean OEM car can sometimes be better than a modified one, depending on what it is. I mean, you guys might have a different take on that, but I personally love a good clean stock OEM car because the way it performs is sometimes even better than a car with modified parts on it. So that is pretty much it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, folks, and if you have any opinions or anything like that in the comment section down below, any experiences that are different to the ones that I've mentioned in this video, please feel free to write them in the comment section. It'd be interesting to hear and read them. But if you'd like to see any more videos at all, whether it be these style of videos where I help you guys out with certain things, or if you'd like to see anything else at all, whether it be Cadwell Park, modification videos, or car reviews, because I've got a few on the way, that's for sure. I've got a very exciting one indeed. You'll have to wait for that, stay tuned. But you guys know what to do if you want to see it straight away as soon as it comes out. Hit that bell, like, comment, and subscribe, all of that good stuff, because it's always appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the future. Have a good one.